I would like to introduce you to Nicole, my current Ramapo College intern. And Nicole recently wrote a wonderful blog article for Super Healthy Children. It's the most recent blog article. And I really would like you today to talk with us, Nicole, about others who sabotage our health gains as far as a vegan and raw food lifestyle, and how it can be difficult to maintain it with others doing that sabotaging.
Sure, Karen. Well, in my experience, there have been many people who've been both with me and have tried to sabotage me, and sometimes they're the same people. My mother and me would do it together for a long time, months even, and then one day she'd ask me, "Do you want Chinese food?" And it was one of the most ridiculous questions to me, because I would ask her, well, I'm vegan, I'm trying to be, good vegan, have that lifestyle, and she would look at me and be like, "Oh, okay, I guess I'm not going to get Chinese food then." Because it was a social interaction that she really wanted. She didn't really want Chinese food. I mean, maybe she was craving that salt flavor, that soy saucy flavor, but other than that, she just really wanted to eat with me. So it's things like that, if I was in the mood for Chinese food that day, I probably would have said, "Yes, let's get some Chinese food. That sounds awesome, Mom."
Yeah.
But it's other things, like when you go to a family party, and if you're trying to lose weight, and your family is like, "Oh, you haven't eaten anything." And you have to tell them, "Well, there's not really anything here for me to eat." And they might say, "Oh, just have a little bit of pasta, it's fine." Little do they know that pasta is laden down with butter, and there is sausage in it, and all this other junk that you can't really have, and that you don't really even want. So it's things like that that are difficult, that can be difficult for someone who is just transitioning into the lifestyle, or is trying for, the first time around their family members to have this lifestyle. I'll never forget, every Christmas we go over to my aunt's house, and she would have a huge roast. That's what she would make. A roast, some green beans, and mashed potatoes. And that would be it. That was the meal. So a huge roast, some flavorless mashed potatoes, and green beans without sauce. So I would have the mashed potatoes and the green beans, and that's all that I could eat. And she didn't care about my diet, about what I was doing, about how I was trying to be healthy. She made what she wanted to make, and that was it. And she's this very, she looks at people with a very keen eye. She sees what they're doing all the time. So the fact that she did not see, or she saw what I was doing and just chose to ignore it, was hurtful. And if you're going to a party and the person there knows that you're vegan or don't eat meat and doesn't eat dairy, they should have at least one dish there for you. And if they don't, then they're not being a good host. It's
or supportive.
Yeah, or very supportive either. But the not being a good host thing, it's something that, when someone invites you over to their house, they should have something there for you to eat.
And sometimes I've found that that people who are not doing or living a vegan or raw vegan lifestyle, they feel intimidated. And I've been told by some people that they feel intimidated or even insulted if you go to their home and you're eating differently and you're not going to partake in what they are making. And so it can be a difficult situation. It's
true. If you bring your own food to a person's house, and say you're going to a barbecue, you know that they're just going to have hot dogs and hamburgers, so you'll bring a homemade veggie burger, and you'll bring like 2 or 3 in case someone wants to try. They'll be very affronted that you're not going to eat their food, or that, "Oh, you don't like my food," or, "Oh, you're vegan, like where do you get your protein from?" Or just silly questions like that. But they'll be hurt. I mean, I have one friend, and usually when I go to her house in the summertime for barbecues, I just don't eat anything, because I know that her family would rather me not eat anything and just be happy and have fun than bring my own food and eat my diet and my lifestyle, because it would offend them. I don't want to offend them. They're sweet people, and some people will feel like you're trying to, that you look down on them. Right. Instead of what you're really doing is, you just want to eat your food, and you don't want to eat meat. That's all. It's nothing against them.
Exactly.
It's just your personal preference. And my aunt Margie, my great aunt, she is always talking to my mother, oh, I want to eat how you and Nicole eat. I want to do what you do, because she's very into animal rights and animal activism. She volunteers at her shelter. She adopted a blind 13-year-old Shih Tzu a couple years ago. So she's very into all that, but she still eats meat. She still eats chicken and beef and pork and, you know, and dairy products. And, but every time I see her, she tells me, oh, I want to be more like you and your mother. I want to eat more like you. Yeah. So it's this interesting dichotomy between people who want to do what you're doing but keep going on their own path, and people who are kind of offended that you're doing what you're doing and don't want to be on their path with them. So it's interesting to see people's reactions when you tell them that you're vegan, or even worse, that you're raw, and that just explodes with so many other questions and people saying things to you about your diet. So it can be interesting, to say the least.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Nicole.
Oh, of course, Karen, you're welcome.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people who come to the vegan and raw food movement are feeling this way. And I think that there is a way that we can deal with it, either by bringing our own food, and too bad for everybody else, right? I mean, we have to, you know, eat something when we go out. Or, you know, for me it helped to explain sometimes. Some people aren't willing to listen, though. Sometimes I would really tell the truth, like, you know, my son healed from asthma, and you lost weight, and you look great. They must be able to see that. But I think some people just don't care.
So sometimes they just don't believe it. Like, they're like, oh, well, you know, you started working out. I'm like, well, that was probably like 20% of the battle. The rest is all your diet.
Yeah.
And they just don't want to listen. They don't want to hear it. And that's on them, you know.
Yes, definitely. And sometimes you have to make new friends. Or
Sometimes, yeah, definitely.
Okay. Thank
you.
you.